So on today's video, I'll be reviewing the Netflix series called Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. So these are my key business takeaways. Now, admittedly, I went into it watching this movie with very low expectations, but I actually ended up being super impressed, and I binged watched the entire series. It's only 4 episodes, which is about the maximum amount of binge watching time that I can take. So I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, an aspiring entrepreneur, or even if you're just starting out or you have a big business, it doesn't matter. Please go check out this movie. So Self-Made is the true story of Sarah Breedlove, who, despite being born to parents who were once slaves, she became the first female millionaire in the United States. The first self-made female millionaire in the United States. Now, an important point I want to make here. When I first heard that phrase, I thought it said that she was the first Black female millionaire. But that's wrong. She was the first self-made female millionaire, period, in America, out of any race. And this was in the early 1900s, at a time when Black folks were just coming off of slavery and the Civil War had just ended, and it was really hard for Black people to get ahead. She became a millionaire, which in those dollars was almost close to like being a billionaire today. So this is a truly outstanding story of accomplishment and fulfilling your dreams. Now, I want to warn you, there are spoilers ahead. I'm only talking about the business lessons that I extracted from this movie, Self-Made, but in it, there are going to be some spoilers. It is based on history, so you can research it and of course find out what happened. But if you want to sit down and watch the movie for its dramatic points and you don't want everything to be spoiled, then I advise you to stop watching right now. But if you want to extract the business lessons and then go back and watch it and then do your research like I did, then I highly advise that. So the first lesson is there's a growth business and then there's a lifestyle business. It's a choice that you need to make in how you're going to operate your business. And it might change from time to time over the years. Madam C.J. Walker, her name was, again, Sarah Breedlove. She got married to a guy named C.J. Walker. So it was customary, of course, in that time to take on Madam and then your husband's name. So that's how she became Madam C.J. Walker. Well, she and her husband often had disagreements about how they wanted to operate the business. Sarah wanted to keep scaling up the business, reinvesting the profits, getting more investors, and keep scaling up and putting their money at risk to keep growing. Whereas her husband, CJ, didn't agree with that. He was like, hey, aren't we successful enough? Can we just enjoy the fruits of our labor? You know, let's slow it down a bit and let's just enjoy the profits here. So they often bump heads about this throughout the movie. And, you know, spoiler alert here, you know, at the end of the day, she wins. They end up getting a divorce and she scales the business up as she sees fit. And he is kind of written out of the picture. But the reason I bring this up is because a lot of business owners experience the same type of conflict, whether it's a conflict between business partners or key executives or the board, or it could be if you're a solopreneur, you just have this inner conflict in your head about, oh, do I keep growing, or do I just stay here where it's comfortable? And there's no right or wrong way to go about it. So don't let anybody shame you into growing your business or into running a lifestyle business. You have to do what's right for you. But I will tell you this, chances are slim that if you take the lifestyle business route, that you'll get a Netflix documentary made about you. My second point is that Sarah studied the entrepreneurs who came before her. I love in the movie that they brought up that she studied John Rockefeller, she studied Carnegie, she studied Henry Ford, she studied Thomas Edison, and she implemented these things into her business. You know, motivational speaker Jim Rohn, he has a famous quote, "You are the average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time." And you'll hear that quote kind of different ways. You are the average of the 5 people you talk to the most, or so forth. But the point is that you become who you surround yourself. You become with what you study. Now, she couldn't take on these guys as mentors. Coming off the heels of slavery and the Civil War, There's no way that, a multimillionaire white guy is going to take on a young black woman who wants to be an aspiring entrepreneur and like take her under his wing and mentor her. That was just kind of unheard of back then. So she took it upon herself to go out and learn everything she could from these men who she admired as business titans. And she implemented those processes into her business. Now you can do the same thing. Even if you don't have access to someone, you can read books, you can watch YouTube videos, you can watch interviews, you can listen to audiobooks, podcasts, read articles. There's a ton of information out there about everyone that you want to know about. You can get inside their head and see how they think, and you can implement that into your own business. And another spoiler alert here, but in a very climactic moment in the movie, Sarah Breedlove built her own estate up in New York, and it happened to be next door to her business idol, John Rockefeller. And, I researched this and I was like, was he really next door to her in real life? And it turns out that it's pretty true with these sprawling estates. Her estate and his estate are actually about 3 miles apart up in Westchester County, New York. Number 3, she franchised her business and she empowered others with knowledge. So the movie talks about how she trained up sales agents to sell her hair products that she manufactured. And these were like independent agents that kind of had their own businesses. So towards the end of the movie, she had like 10,000 employees, and many of them were actually sales agents. So it was kind of like franchises. Now, this really resonated with me because we just finished the franchise paperwork for Zeus's Closet, and now we offer franchises so that we can empower others to run their own Zeus's Closet store. We also have a Greekpreneur program where we train people and we build their website and we give them the support for people who want to launch their own Greek paraphernalia website. So since we've been in business this long, see, we could have hoarded these secrets to ourselves, but I decided, that something tells me that's not the way to go because I've studied other people who came before me, and she could have just kept the secrets to herself, but she would have never have expanded her empire had she done that. Point 4 is that she had multiple streams of revenue. Now, she was into manufacturing, retail, wholesale, mail order, which is the equivalent of like e-commerce is today. You don't want to be dependent on just one channel, one type of income with your business. They can be related, the same product, but different ways of selling it. This is a key to massive wealth. My next point is that she had a product business, not a service-based business. Now, most small businesses, entry level, you're going to offer a service. When I started out in business, I was a graphic designer. I offered the service of designing people's business cards and postcards and flyers and websites. But I slowly pivoted into a product-based business where we sell customized apparel. And it's still kind of a blend of it's a hybrid of a product service-based business. But I've noticed that the people who make massive wealth in business, the business titans, have a product-based business that they scale up. My 6th point is that her right-hand man was an attorney. So his name was Ransom in the movie. And, he was right next to her at all times. And, she would always bounce ideas off of him and he would give her guidance. And Ransom was that voice that helped, that aided her in her decision making. It turns out he had a law degree, so that came in very handy as she scaled up her empire. But he eventually went on to become the general manager of the entire company. And I remember one time I was having a conversation with a friend of my dad. So it's one of our wise elders. He's in his 70s, maybe 80s in age right now. And he knew about my business growth. And he said, you know what, you should get your law degree. And he's suggesting that I just get it just to have it because of how much it will benefit me in business. And I've been strongly considering that, and I may actually follow his advice. But the next best thing would be to hire in-house counsel, or at least a right-hand person, someone dependable that you can talk to who is actually an attorney. My last point, certainly not least, but my last point is that death is the great impetus. So Madam Walker died very young, at the age of 51. She was diagnosed with high blood pressure, which led to hypertension and then to kidney failure. And there's a scene in the movie where the doctor told her that she only had 1 year to live. And in the movie, she kept it a secret, but she had this intense sense of urgency that really kicked into high gear when she had this death sentence basically hanging over her head. And there were moments in the movie where her business partners, her advisors, her relatives would suggest, hey, we can put off this thing until next year or until later in the year. She would say, no, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen now. And they didn't quite understand why she had this sense of urgency, but she made it happen while she was still alive. She was able to see her dream realized. And it made me think, how often do we push off things till tomorrow that we could get done today if we had that sense of urgency, if we didn't feel like we were immortal? And I talk about this in another video, which I link above, but there's a way that you can kind of stimulate this sense of urgency in your everyday life so that you actually get more done. You know, this is how the big business leaders of our time accomplish so much. I'm always very moved every time I hear Steve Jobs' 2005 commencement speech that he gave at Stanford University, where he talks about death.
Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose.
So in conclusion, I recommend that every entrepreneur watch this series, Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Whether you're starting out in business or you have a big business, or you have a dream of opening a business one day, check out this movie. It will inspire you, and there are real nuggets of business wisdom. I'm sure I didn't cover all of them here. In fact, if you'll let me know in the comments, what else you got from the movie that I may have missed that applies to growing a business, I would love to hear it, because I know that I didn't cover everything. This is Ethan King signing out. Hey, be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking the link below, and check out some of these other related videos as they may benefit you as well.